This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. President Biden has announced the United States will end its combat mission in Iraq by the end of the year, with American forces shifting to an advisory and training role in the country. White House correspondent Jeff Murdoch and Pentagon correspondent Ben Wolfgang report the president laid out the revamped approach to Iraq, where U.S. forces have operated for most of the past 20 years, alongside Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi at the White House. There are about 2,500 American troops remaining in the country, and it's not clear how many will stay there in a new capacity. Despite the new American role, the president stressed the U.S. will continue to battle remnants of the Islamic State should they arise. The withdrawals from Iraq and Afghanistan represent a major shift for post-9/11 U.S. foreign policy, which has been dominated for 2 decades by fights against terrorist groups based in Afghanistan and the Middle East. The Pentagon's new blueprint calls for U.S. forces to prepare to fight traditional state rivals, particularly China and Russia. The Department of Veterans Affairs is telling its doctors and nurses to get immunized for COVID-19 within 8 weeks. Major medical groups, meanwhile, said the time has come to mandate the vaccine for every healthcare worker in the country. Tom Howe reports the moves reflect a get-tough pivot as voluntary systems and cash incentives have failed to lift lagging vaccination rates nationwide. Less than half of the U.S. population, 49%, is fully vaccinated, despite free and plentiful shots. Scientists fear the unvaccinated number gives the virus room to continue to inflict pain or evolve into an even more dangerous strain. Healthcare workers were among the first Americans to become eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines, yet many continue to refuse the shots. Roughly 1 in 4 hospital workers in New York State are not vaccinated, and federal data says only 58.7% of nursing home staff in the U.S. are fully vaccinated. The Biden administration has given tacit approval to schools and employers that are mandating the shots, but has not forced the military or other federal workers to get vaccinated. VA Secretary Dennis McDonough said his agency's new requirement, which applies to Title 38 personnel such as nurses and physician assistants, is needed to keep veterans safe. In California, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is set to approve guaranteed taxpayer-funded income of up to $1,200 per month for certain low-income young adults, as more Democratic-led cities across the country push for universal monthly aid. Deputy Political Editor Dave Boyer reports the money in the Los Angeles pilot program would go for 3 years to 150 people ages 18 to 24 who are receiving general relief benefits. LA County Board of Supervisors Chair and former Congresswoman Hilda Solis said the aid would help people who've been hurt by the COVID-19 pandemic and have historically faced economic and social inequities. The plan was proposed just weeks after California lawmakers unanimously approved the first state-funded guaranteed income plan of $1,000 per month for eligible expectant mothers and young adults who recently left foster care. That $35 million initiative is also taxpayer-funded. Similar programs have been announced in Oakland, California, Newark, New Jersey, Tacoma, Washington, and Gainesville, Florida. A reminder that you can find all these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. Don't have access to the Times yet? Visit WashingtonTimes.com/George and get 25% off your annual subscription. Let's wrap up with a pair of stories from Capitol Hill. First, the Senate Armed Services Committee has approved an amendment which would change the Military Selective Service Act to require women to register for the draft. Congressional reporter Joseph Clark reports the amendment is included as part of this year's National Defense Authorization Act. Similar measures to expand the draft were included in both the House and Senate Armed Services Committee's versions of the 2016 NDAA, but the measures weren't signed into law. 2 Republican committee members, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton and Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, have spoken out against the proposal, and several members of Congress, including Oregon Democratic Senator Ron Wyden and Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul, have recently called for ending the draft altogether, regardless of gender. And finally, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley is pressing the FBI to explain its reasoning for a probe into a conservative women's group. Ryan Lovelace reports the FBI's review of Concerned Women for America has prompted an outcry from the group's leadership and others that are concerned about intelligence community surveillance of Americans. The FBI's Washington field office cited a subpar rating from Charity Navigator, a group that evaluates organizations, to justify digging into the group. Redactions to the FBI's July 5, 2016 determination prevent insight into what else prompted the investigation. Grassley is looking to obtain an unredacted copy of the FBI's determination. Find all of today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and subscribe for free to the front page. Just search Washington Times on your favorite podcast platforms. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.